Dear organizers, dear colleagues, thank you for the possibility for me to present my findings at the 26th virtual annual meeting of the European Association of Archaeologists. On behalf of CLIR Research Center based in Pécs, Hungary, I welcome you all. A few short words about us. CLIR research program was established in the 1980s with the aim of advancing international research on the Roman frontiers. Our present institution was created in 2019 at the University of Pécs with the purpose of conducting and coordinating research on the Roman frontiers through an online platform. We do our own work on the Hungarian section of Pannonia, and we keep in contact with the museums and official institutions that manage the Ripa Pannonica, which includes the Prime Minister's Office in Hungary, the Castle Headquarters Limited, and the Lechner Research Institute. Across the borders, we keep close contact with the Bratislava Group, the Hexham Group, and numerous researchers related to the frontiers of the Roman Empire framework. Thus, this presentation corresponds to the buzzword networking chosen for this virtual meeting. If you're interested in the work we do, I kindly invite you to catch up at our blog at clearresearch.hu. The link will be displayed on all future slides, as well as contact information if you have any questions regarding the technologies or databases that I will present here. At the moment, an important progress is underway. The western section of the Danube Limes is awaiting decision to become UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is an extensive transnational nomination, including a 1,000-kilometer long section of the Danube through Germany, Austria, Slovakia, and Hungary. The nomination for the second eastern section is currently being prepared by Croatia, Serbia, Romania, and Bulgaria and will be submitted to the UNESCO soon. Preparing this nomination required participating state parties to conduct extensive surveys on these sites, ranging from instrumental fieldworks to non-invasive surveys and also excavations. The number of sites is staggering. In Hungary alone, several hundred Limes sites are known, with features being still discovered. In 2011, the Ripa Pannonica in Hungary, the blue book here, preliminary nomination statement registered 131 sites, which has been reduced in 2017 to 65 VHS sites, in the book below. Visible on the larger map here from Gerolata 4, watchtower at Bezenye, number 33, to the late Roman fort Altinum at Kölk, number 98. To provide useful data for these sites, we began systematically processing find groups. I chose ceramic building materials with the special emphasis on tiles with stamps and other volunteer markings, but recording unmarked shards by fabric, dimensions, etc. There are many tile production centers in Pannonia, yet one of the largest military-operated kiln complexes has been overlooked so far. It is located in the southern west part of Hungary, approximately 3 kilometers from present-day course of the Danube, in Baranya County, on the area of present-day Duna section. In Roman times, this area pertained to Pannonia, then to Pannonia Inferior, and in late Roman times to Valeria province. The auxiliary fort Lugio and the late Roman fortifications Florentia are located 4 kilometers from the site, on a lost plateau rising 130 meters above the Danube. This site is also on the UNESCO tentative list, depicted on the previous slide. The area itself is a gently sloping, cultivated hillside, right above route number 65. The site is halfway between Duna section and Bar, and is located along the Limes route. Roman watchtower Lugio number 5 is located at the top of the hill, the kiln complex at its lower third. Numerous stamped and marked tiles have been collected from this land throughout the ages, mostly by locals with an interest in history. We managed to hunt up and document most of these tiles, approximately 200 pieces, which are now in the inventory of the Janus Pannonius Museum in Pécs. During the ICUMIS mission in 2018, the advisors themselves have helped collecting a few tiles. Before that, several researchers have noted large quantities of CBM visible on the surface, the earliest being Mor Woszyński in the late 19th century, but the site itself was confirmed only in spring 2012, when a geophysical survey was conducted on the area. Later on in September 2012, the site was excavated by the Janus Pannonius Museum, which confirmed that the anomalies detected are in fact 2 kilns, yet none of the surrounding buildings and further kilns have been confirmed so far. On the digital elevation model, the extent of the excavated kilns is clearly visible as a smooth horizontal patch in the hillside. Since last year, we began monitoring the site regularly, and we plan to conduct further excavations to ascertain the layout and function of other buildings in the kiln complex. And who maintain this complex? Most stamps are related to the Cor Septemum Breocorum, which carries on nearby Lugio from Emperor Antoninus Pius's reign until the late 1st century AD. It was in this period when production peaked. Tiles of this cohort are found in numerous sites along the Danube, both upstream, up until Aquincum, approximately 100 kilometers from this site, and downstream, down to the fort at Altinum Kölked and the watchtowers near Botany. Both earlier and later stamps are known from the site, although at the moment it cannot be confirmed whether they were produced at this scale or complex or not. Our future plans include defining the spread of these tiles and reconstructing the dimensions of the kilns to calculate their output. To do this in a convenient manner, I used the cataloging method established by Zoltán Havas, who wrote his PhD dissertation on the brick architecture of the Governor's Palace in Aquincum, which is pretty similar to the online database of Dr. Martin Moser, which currently includes tiles from Vienna, but we have a mutual agreement to expand their collection with Pannonian stamp tiles. At the moment, I have catalogued several hundred tiles from the counties Baranya and Tolna, starting at the southernmost Hungarian Danube section, progressing gradually northwards. The reason behind this methodology lies in research history. The famed epigraphist Barnabás Lőrinc, who in past decades documented numerous tiles from all over Pannonia, left this limit section last and he did not manage to process it. The documentation I have in an Excel spreadsheet, which is convenient because it can easily be exported as comma-separated values, which can also be imported into PHP or any other server-side scripting language of choice. I made only a few expansions to this already established documentation method. Data are grouped together into administrative categories, some with fixed vocabularies or taxonomy, such as the mode of acquisition, institutions, form, statuses, which appear either as drop-down menus if there are less than a dozen values, or taxonomy term trees if there are more values or if the values are structured into hierarchies. Others are simple text fields but clearly defined. For example, description is split into material and fabric-related fields, epigraphical fields, and comments, which itself is further divided into original comments in the inventories, excavation diaries, and those made by the person who entered the tile into this database. Now, most tiles are fairly easy to interpret and basic photo documentation and measurements suffice. In other cases, however, marks need to be enhanced. One method I use is the standard 3D photogrammetry pipeline, with the well-trodden steps of building, a dense point cloud, a 3D model, and finally a digital elevation model. Here shading and slope analysis can be conducted on the DEHM, which help tracing out otherwise poorly discernible features. However, this method is quite time-consuming and widespread applicability is limited by processing power. A viable alternative is polynomial texture mapping, which has been improved and is nowadays called Highlight Reflectance Transformation Imaging, HRTE for short. Now, HRTE has its emphasis on edge detection and is markedly faster than photogrammetry. While the classic photogrammetry pipeline takes hours, depending on image quantity and processing power, the entire HRTE process takes about half an hour to do alone. With two people working together, it can be made even faster. And it can be made significantly faster with the lighting dome, which I hope to build in the future by collaborating with engineers from the neighboring faculty. Now this part of the presentation comes to an end and is concluded. If you have any insight, advice, or question regarding tiles or the methods I used, I am happy to discuss setup and technical details. In the remaining couple of minutes, I will showcase our other research projects at CLIR Research Center. Of paramount importance is our LIMES database. It is a Drupal-based linked data relational database similar to the Archeo database operated by Attila Kejter's team at the Hungarian National Museum. We share the same IT foundations, yet our database is not an open platform of the National Archaeological Registry, but a more complex tool for researchers and the public. We are currently in the sprints of finalizing front-end, and we are scheduled to bring our database online by the end of this September. The user interface will be made available from the domain http://clir.hu. If you follow our blog at clearresearch.hu or our Facebook page, you will definitely not miss it. And the database itself is in English, despite of the Hungarian abbreviation. Our aim was to approach archaeological entities from their original structure and functionality. The reason for this is to eliminate bias that arose from modern administrative divisions or the differences in research methodology. For example, if related sites are now part of different administrative units with different responsible institutions, or if a development-led excavation, some features were excavated and some features were not. In either of these cases, it resulted in that parts of the same site were logged as separate records in the National Archaeological Registry with different levels of identification. Not to mention sites shared by different countries, such as the marching camps around Burgazio and Ija by Slovakia and Hungary. This approach that we use works around this problem, yet it has difficulties of its own. The Limes has a vast number of sites with huge differences in complexity, ranging from the civilian town of Ekvinkum to a single watchtower on the Limes. We developed a modular hierarchy to best address this question. There are three major node types in our database, which are site, site component, and component part. Site is a definite, although sometimes complex, archaeological entity which was built along a single principle. Sites can be, for example, a Roman fort, a single watchtower, or a complete colonia. Site components are independent edifices and built features within each site, such as the Principia of a fort or a single dwelling. Component parts are archaeological features of either, including all sorts of pits, ditches, wall sections, rooms, and others. The modular hierarchy means that multiple of these node types can be related to each other in a series of parent-child relations. For example, the firing pit of an oven inside a room within a wing inside an internal structure of a late Roman fortlet can be described as a chain of 6 nodes, and this chain can be expanded when necessary, thus making a very flexible and deep database. While the user interface is being developed at the moment, I can show you a quick glance on the back end of our database. This is a custom Drupal interface, what the uploaders see and the administrators use. The admin user interface is fully responsive, with sections clearly set apart from each other and custom HTML formatting enabled to enhance readability. All nodes of the database are interlinked and connected to other open data databases. Outside the office, we conduct fieldwork, including excavations too. These photos we took in Inlaceni or Enlaka in Transylvania, Romania, where we excavated a gate tower and this section of the Roman auxiliary fort. We regularly monitor and survey sites. Our Phantom 4 drone is outfitted with a real-time kinematic model, RTK, which gains position through a SIM card and can reach precision down to a few centimeters. On auto-return home, it lands on a bottle cap. And we also publish volumes. Last year, we created this celebratory volume for Professor Zsolt Vishy on the 75th birthday with 35 articles from 44 authors on 565 colored pages. This year, we are expecting to publish an inclusive volume on recent research on the Danube limits. We keep in contact with our colleagues and friends from abroad and organize venues for publishing our results. And so I conclude my presentation. I wish to repeat that I am gladly available for discussion, and with any questions, please refer to us at the email address or phone number given. Thank you for your kind attention.